Good morning. Welcome to our midweek edition of Summit. It's good to be with you again today, especially because the Edo State election has come and gone, and the winner has been declared. And our discussion today is centered around that election. You're welcome again. I am Jumoke. Michael, Banji is also right here.
Jumoke, it's also my pleasure to be here, and I'm always excited because it's an opportunity for me to relate with our people, giving them information about what's happening in the politics. They all know they were part of the Edo Decides, and we are here to just do a review, see how things went. My name is Banji Busari. I'm glad to be here.
All right, and we have someone to discuss this issue, to do a review, like Banji said, of that election, Edo State. We have with us a journalist and also a public affairs analyst, Mr. Ademola Adegoke. You're welcome, sir.
My pleasure being here once again, Jumoke. Good morning, and good morning, Banji. I'm also excited being here once again. Thanks
All right,
for
so
having me.
I'm sure your face is very, very familiar. I mean, our viewers out there, so we know him already. He's part of that program. Yes, Mr. Adegoke, the Edo Decides has come, and Edo people have already decided who they really wanted to take over from the current administration. To start with, were you part of people that actually monitor that officially or unofficially?
No, unofficially I did monitor, but officially I was never part of any of the electoral monitors or election monitors. So I did monitor from the comfort of my room, listening to news reports and analysis of minute by minute events as they unfolded.
Okay, for me, I like to also start this way. What are those things that really excite you about Edo Decides? I was expecting that the result would be announced maybe a few days, maybe 3 days after the election, as we're familiar with that election results not being declared as a result of many reasons. But this one came the following day. It's one of the things that I'm really excited about. What are those other things that you feel excited? Excited about?
I think for me, talking about the timeliness of the announcement of the results, I don't think it is. We are still there the way it should be. Looking at where we are coming from, one can understand your excitement. But for me, the real deal in the election was the peaceful manner in which it came and went. Before now, looking at the build-up to the election, so many people had expressed that concern that on the election day itself there might be serious violence. But the people of Edo State proved the pundits, so to speak, wrong. And then the election came and then went peacefully. I think that is something to be happy about. Although,
do you think we should put it that the security presence and all that? What could you say?
Yes. I was going to say that what we now hold the peace or the peaceful conduct of the election to is another question entirely. You want to ask, is it because there has been a change in our disposition to election? Is there a new election culture in Nigeria, or by the voters or the politicians? I want to see less of that. I think I want to see more of what you have just said. The over-militarization of our electoral process. And I believe that I'm looking forward to a day like you see in some other climes, that election will be going on. You don't see any policeman, you don't see anybody, you don't see any lockdown, and then election just comes and goes. I had seen such before now. At least I voted in the 1983 election, and there was no lockdown. There wasn't any sort of lockdown. and everything went. I think that was the first time I voted. And, so, but, as things changed for the worse, that was when every election now had to come with a total lockdown of the system. I think that going forward, we will be praying that we get to that level, that we don't have to lock the system down because of election.
All right. The non-violence nature of that election is something that's commendable by Nigerians. But the result is out as we speak. And as we are familiar with in Nigeria's setting, there have been a lot of cries of maybe manipulations, allegations of manipulations, electoral fraud practices that characterize that election. What can you say about that?
Well, you see, with the Nigerian politician, you have to learn things. That apple becomes sour when it can't be reached. That is the nature of the Nigerian politician. You have two propositions of the election, or you have two submissions about the election. You have the loser crying blue mother that the election was the very worst, that has ever happened in the history of the state. And you have the winner saying that there could not have been a fairer election, than that. So, but between the two, in between the two, you now as a non-partisan bystander, you ask yourself, what do I believe? And what you believe is what you make your own analysis of the whole situation, and then you come out with your own submission. And what I see as a non-partisan bystander is that I can see that all the parties, because I can see, or I could hear reports of voter inducement by at least the two leading parties. Both of them were involved in vote buying. You understand? So I heard that. I could also see that the PDP won two of the senatorial districts, and the APC won one. But when you talk about the highest number of votes now, it went to the APC. So what I could see was that the APC was able to hold on strongly to its Edo North stronghold, and it now scooped votes from Edo South and Edo Central, and it became, the winner of the election. So to me, it does appear as a non-partisan bystander, like I have said, that, by and large, plus minus, I think and from what I have heard, it still reflected, the will of the Edo people. But I also see, when we conduct election, especially this goes to INEC, the election must not only be free and fair, it must be seen to be free and fair on the part of INEC. And so, if you do things that will give room for suspicion, that people will now start looking at or doubting, the genuineness of your intent, then you will have given room for, even if you want to say the loser must, cry blue mother, if you don't give him the room, he won't be able to cry any kind of blue mother. In the case of this election, look at where INEC maintained some speed in the release of the first 16 of the results from 16 LGAs, 16 local government areas. It now remains 2. But the curious thing about the release of those 2 is that and those were Oredo and the Puba. Now you want to ask yourself, and this is why one has to ask questions about that INEC should make things to be more, at least to appear more transparent. The delay in the release of Oredo and Ipoba now caused, some apprehension. And this is the thing. Oredo and Ipoba are domiciled inside Benin. They are, although they said Ipoba, that it covers some. Oredo is Benin municipality. Ipoba covers some villages outside Benin. But even at that, you are very familiar with Oyo State. So let me use the example of Oyo State. It's like you have an election in Oyo State, and you have gotten results from Shaki, Iseyin, even your far-flung Ogbomoso. You have gotten results from all those areas, and then maybe Lagelu or Oluyole, you have not, results are now being delayed. So, people will say, why?
There could be reasons. I'm not a spokesperson for NINEC. I'd like you to put everything in perspective. Don't forget that we are told by the report revealed that the electioneering materials did not get some polling stations until about 10:30, 11. Those areas could have been part of the reasons.
Yes, we are not actually accusing
but
NINEC
since you're already giving, giving a scorecard of what INEC did on Saturday.
Yes.
Look it in context with the cases of falsification of the results by some people that have actually been apprehended. Would you say INEC was on top of his job? Particularly comparing it with where we are coming from. Have you seen INEC up his game?
INEC, you see, if we have to also be fair to INEC, we also have to be fair to INEC. I am one person that believes that the contribution of INEC to election rigging, if at all there is, could not be, maybe it will range between 15 to 20%.
That's a lot.
The 80%.
That's a lot.
I know, negligence, it will, but the 80% of it will go to politicians. You understand? The 80% of it will go to desperate politicians. The contribution of INEC will have come from negligence, like the delay that I talked about and all of that, delay in getting materials and all of that. So maybe you could ascribe 20% of a rigging that comes, of the total rigging to those ones. But when it comes to real desperation by politicians, INEC, it's not INEC. You understand? So that is why we need to be fair. We need to be holistic.
You haven't answered my question.
We need to be holistic.
Has INEC up his game? Have they upped their game?
See anything like upping their game?
I think I saw it. I saw it because for the first time, the BIVAS, functioned, perfectly, almost, perfectly well.
What about uploading of the results on the IREF?
On the IREF, I saw that too. I'm not holding brief for INEC because I saw that by Saturday evening, over 90% of the results had been uploaded on IREF. So I am just saying that I believe that INEC is trying its best, although we know that their best is not yet enough. Like I pointed to the issue of delay in collation and release of results of Oredo and Ipoba, two local government areas that are right in Benin. So that could give room. So we can blame them for that. But when it comes to deliberate effort being made, to improve the process, I think we should give kudos to INEC.
So let's look at the issue of voter turnout. If we look at the total of the votes, to me, it's
registered voters and accredited voters.
And then the ones that even came out to vote is like less than 1 million.
Yeah.
So what would you attribute that to? Voter apathy?
So many things. So many things. Incidentally, on Sunday, when the final result was still being expected, out of curiosity, I told my wife, call so person, this your friend in Benin, whether she will have an idea of the direction of things. And then she called her, and the woman said, see, me, I lost interest in their process, Jerry. I went yesterday, but when I saw the way they were doing, I just left. You understand? So people have lost faith in the system. Even in the process, they believe that at the end of the day, you just go. Maybe the woman's polling unit was one of those where electoral materials did not arrive in time, and then the woman went there and wanted to vote, and after waiting for a little while, and then she saw that no material was coming, she went back to her house. That is one angle. And then again, you also look at the build up to the election, the rhetorics to the election. Someone went and said it will be a do or die affair. You know, you don't want to. So you don't want to go and vote in an election.
Put your life.
Put your life on the line. You know, for an election. And again, you also people are also disenchanted with the total outcome. And when I say outcome now, I'm not even talking about who wins or loses, but it has come to that point that people now feel that whoever wins, what will they do? You understand? What do people gain from the politicians? What do they gain? Even let's put aside whether the election is free or fair or whatever. But if at the end of the day, whoever gets to the office, whether PDP, whether APC, whether any party, the people are tired. The people are saying that. So it's an indirect vote of no confidence, in the system. People are saying, even if we go and vote, at the end of the day, these are self-serving lots who will not, do anything for us. So why do I need to go and waste my time? So that could also account for the low turnout.
Let's look at the nature of that election. Edo election is one of the off-cycle elections, the ones that did not fall within the general period of elections in this country. If 35,000 men, that's security men, soldiers and all that, could be deployed for one election. Now, I mean, what does that tell you? You've spoken about the over-militarization of our elections and all of that. Do we have the resources? And does that also not contribute? You don't see that as being a factor in the apathy that we just spoke about?
Definitely.
When people peep out of their windows and
see God within security men. Nobody, you see, ours is maybe one of the few countries where you have such happening, that election has to be held with gun-toting security men all around, and then we all know that any trigger-happy security man could just make a mistake, and then
and that would be it.
And that would be it. So you don't want to go and risk your life for such. So, like I said, we are looking forward to that time that that you can even sit in the comfort of your room and vote. And I have canvassed this position for umpteen times, that we should leverage on technology to even address some of the challenges that we are having. The moment you can leverage on technology in such a way that ballot box snatching, ballot box stuffing, falsification of results and mutilation of electoral sheet and all of that will be a thing of the past.
Okay, let's look at the results. The winner of that election came out with that Monday Okwebolo. Came out with over 291, 666, I think 667. While they won the second one, 247, 274, followed by the Labour Party, who came a distant third. Now, do you see that the election result as a true reflection of the will of the people of Edo? Now, the president has come out, President Tinubu, that's hailing that the victory of APC, saying that it shows that people love APC as a party. Do you see that in that result?
I want to disagree with the president on the area, on the angle of the result being an indication of the fact that the Edo people really love APC and its policies. It may not necessarily be. One, we all say it that every election is local. Politics itself is local. You understand? That the people of Edo State voted for APC does not mean that they actually, it could be just the best option they had, and I will explain. Now, one has to understand also the configuration of politics of Edo State. Adams Oshiomhole was the governor before Obaseki became governor. He is from the north. Obaseki succeeded him from the south. And then, so there has been that narrative, that general consumption in Edo State that it should now go to the south. You understand? So you will see that the two leading candidates are from the south, and that may also even account for why Olumide Akpata of Labour Party performed so poorly, because he is from the south, Okwebolo and Ighodalo from the central. So there has been that kind of general agreement, or written though, that the next governor should come from the central, from Edo Central. And so when Olumide Akpata now came from the south, a southern governor is just leaving, you want to succeed him again. So that took Olumide Akpata out of the equation. Now left to the two people remaining now. That is Okwebolo and Ighodalo. Now, Ighodalo has a baggage. And the baggage is Obaseki. Obaseki played the politics of division, you understand? The politics of belligerence, and the politics. So he had this cantankerous approach to politics in the state. He fought with so many people, you understand? He fought with Philip Shaibu. He fought with someone like Abiru Ajoto. He fought with Dan Obi, who was the chairman of PDP, who offered him the platform to contest, under PDP when he was booted out of APC. So now they lost so many people. He had a major face-off with the Oba of Benin, to the extent that there was this issue of where should the returned artifacts domicile. That is one. He was also involved in upgrading of quarter chiefs, which Oba of Benin had authority on. You understand? It was the prerogative of the Oba, but he went and got himself involved in that. So that pitched him against the palace. So that was the baggage against Aswe Ighodalo. So,
but beyond that, people are saying that Aswe Ighodalo, yes, had a very good corporate and educational background.
I have told you,
but he's not a local person. He wasn't rooted in.
So I am just going to where how the choice now came to Okwebolo. You see, they are both Ishan. But now, so beyond that, Ighodalo, yes, well educated and all of that, but the people did not see him as one of their own. You understand? He could not even speak the Ishan dialect, the Ishan language. So he needed interpreter to be. So and the way the Nigerian politics is. So all of those now account for the choice of Okwebolo. So it may not necessarily be like the president said that it has to do with the approval of the APC's administration. So every politics, like I've said, is local.
Yeah. All right. So you have just enumerated one of the reasons for the Labour Party's setback.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any other thing also that could have caused him to,
perform so poorly?
You see, in Nigeria politics, we cannot, set aside the place of political structure. You understand? It played out during the presidential election, and now it has played out again. Akpata was never a politician. He only, he rode on the crest of his MBA presidency to launch a foray into politics, and then he now probably felt that his popularity, through the MBA could sell him to the people of Edo State. But the people felt, you have not been one of us. And then the structure was also not there. If we talk of structure today, political structure, you know that the two parties that have the strongest are APC and PDP. So if you must dislodge any of those from power, you must be very, very strong politically. You must have, your message must resonate so well with the people. They must have seen you as one of them. So it's not just for you to suddenly come from nowhere and you want to be governor of the state. So I think that played out against
but what about let's probe into the social media factor in this election. Prior to the election, the man you just spoke about, that's Akpata, Olumide Akpata, was kind of confident about victory because social media wise, that's out there in the public, in the social media circles, he was rated highest in that election. So are we there or no when we talk about social media? The view of the people, does it really count in elections?
Let me tell you, Banji and Jumoke, I have always had this view that the Nigerian electoral space is the researcher's nightmare. You understand? It's the researcher's nightmare. And what do I mean? You see, there are variables that you will set as a researcher, and you want to come out with your findings, elsewhere, and you will be able to make some predictions, and which we hold true elsewhere. You understand? But
in politics,
in Nigerian politics, it may not be so. You understand? One, when you do a research and you do your research online, you understand? I want to ask you, how many of those voters in the villages, actually, the ones among them that hold phone, how many of them use social media? So when you now do your research and you now say, according to online poll, for an election that we hold in riverine areas, in far-flung places, you understand? You will discover that your findings won't be accurate.
Okay. All right, so before we end this discussion, would you think the issue of godfatherism was actually showcased in this election? Godfatherism from Obaseki and
Oshiomhole.
The way he was rubbished at the other election, the second term for
Obaseki.
How do you think it played out in this election?
Yes, in this election, we had two leading candidates,
Monday
Okpebholo and Nasue Ighodalo. But you see, the unseen contestants in that election, everybody knows, is Godwin Obaseki and Adams Oshiomhole.
Of course, you won't rule out the place of Shaibu.
No, wait.
Who has just been thrown out.
I will come to that. You see, so when you talk of godfatherism in this election, of course, it played out. But between the two godfathers, who was the smarter in this election? And I will say Oshiomhole. And why am I saying who was the smarter? Because ordinarily, and I say this with all sense of responsibility, even with due respect to APC, APC will not, should not have matched up to a PDP as a sitting government in Edo State. If Obaseki had a good sense of success and relationship management, he made a bad job of success and relationship management, and that is what now gave the Oshiomhole camp, leeway into what they were able to do. I mentioned the likes of Dan Obi. I mentioned the likes of Kabiru Ajoto. I mentioned the likes of Philip Shaibu, who fought with his own benefactor and godfather, Oshiomhole. He stuck out his neck for Obaseki. But Obaseki fought with him and dispensed, with him. When you have that kind of situation, you have someone who fought with Oshiomhole in the first place, fought with Philip Shaibu, fought with Danobi, fought with Kabiru Ajoto, fought with so many other key leaders in Edo politics. And now, to boot, even had a fallout with the Oba of Benin. You think that will not haunt him in the election? So that haunted him in the election. If there is any set of people that revere their Oba so much, it is the Benins. And so when you touch
the Edo people generally,
when you touch their Oba, you understand, it's like you have committed the greatest sacrilege. So all that worked out. So godfatherism played out, but you have the smarter of the two godfathers, smiling at the end of the day.
I guess PDP was set for victory, and they were very confident that the victory of that election would be theirs. I'm talking about the Governors Forum. Something unprecedented happened.
Okay.
As a reaction to the results of the just concluded election. The PDP Forum, that's a Governors Forum led by Governor of Fintiri, came out with results of their own as a reaction to the result declared by INEC. A manner of protest.
They debunked it, that wasn't true.
You see, well, I didn't.
Hold on, let me put it. Okay. Let's reframe so that. Okay. Let me reframe so that. See, are you sure it's been officially debunked?
I didn't. People. I heard people say that, but I didn't hear.
Now, let me say allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, still reacting to the result of the just concluded gubernatorial election in Edo State. The PDP Governors Forum allegedly, by way of protest, wrote their own results to counter what INEC came out. Allegedly, it's not been confirmed. That's something unprecedented in the history of our politics in this country. What's your reaction to that? Of course, they may have countered, they may have debunked that. But the truth is, should protest take us to that level? Governor himself has come out and sued for calmness. That people in the state should remain calm, pending when I'm sure he was referring to the tribunal and all of that, that the rightful winner will emerge at the end of the day. But in reaction to results, should people go that far?
I didn't hear, I heard people say it. I didn't hear the announcement from Fintiri that they announced their own results. And like you said, I think they have debunked that. But what I know that was done that to me was quite out of place was Governor Obaseki suddenly going into
appearing at
INEC office. That is, taking desperation.
Demanding to see the rec.
That is taking desperation too far. Because the electoral law is clear. But even, it's only the party agents that are allowed. You understand? And even those party agents must not be holding any executive position in government. You understand? So you can't appoint a minister, for example. You understand? It can be a party man, but you cannot be. So it is so clear. I don't know what could have taken Obaseki, to, I don't know the desperation. There is always, to go that far, there is always a laid down process. And the law is clear. If anything that has been done in the election If you are not pleased with it, one,
You can seek redress.
You can seek redress. You first write your petition to INEC. If INEC feels so strongly or convinced about your position, they can do a review of the result by themselves, even without going to court. But when INEC has now announced the result, it is the option left for you is to head for the court.
All right.
So, like we always do in Nigeria, we should expect many court cases again.
Of course, we should.
We are also hopeful that all will be resolved before the expiration of this tenure, so that it will not affect the next election cycle.
Yeah.
We can't really exhaust these issues, and it's a developing issue. I mean, we'll have a reason to maybe call you back to discuss this issue more. Thank you very much, our guest, for your time and your contributions on the program. My name is Banji Busari.
All right, so we'll leave you to our next segment of the program, bringing you up to speed about developmental projects in Lagos State. We'll see you again next week. I am Chumoke Michaels. Bye-bye.